You hit a couple personal milestones. Team was ranked number one a good part of the season. I don't want to say one's better than the other, but are there some unique aspects about the season you just completed?
Well, I think the most unique thing is just the development of the midfield over time that allowed us to put us in this position. We graduated 6 guys, and there was a big question mark in the middle of the field, and just to see those guys develop and come along and go from a group that was probably just okay to a group that it was maybe as good as we've ever had. I mean, it was just a great 6, 8 midfielders there. Not maybe not as good as we've ever had, but good enough to win a championship. That was exciting to see their development over the course of the year to allow a great attack and a great defense to an opportunity to have a championship.
Just want to talk about two games and how they made it sort of played into the championship. The Cabrini game, the last game of the regular season, and the semifinal game. Were there any things about those two that either were a wake-up call or you were pointed
Well,
to?
I think the Cabrini game, we didn't play that well that day. We played a late game on Wednesday night against, number 4 in the country, York. It was a real emotional game. We played really well. And then, a day and a half later, we're driving to Pennsylvania to play a team that's well rested, who's one of the best teams in the country. And we're winning by 3 goals, and a kid gets kicked out of the game for a high hit with 5 minutes left, and they score 4-man-up goals. Never had a kid kicked out in the history of coaching, in 32 years. It was just an unheard of call that was unfortunate that put us in that position. But, it is what it is, and, maybe that was a little wake-up call. It definitely, I think, created a little revenge for that, the quarterfinal game when we came out and showed that we definitely were the better team and beat them, 17-5. And then Denison, obviously, we had the game in hand and we made a couple mistakes late. But they were probably one of the best teams that we played all year, and that's what good teams do when you make a couple mistakes. And but when you get to the end, you're going to have some one-goal games. Because you get to a level playing field like any given Sunday in football.
All right, so for those of us that weren't up there this weekend, can you just walk us through what was the mood like when you get there, doing some of the walkthroughs and workouts and leading up to Sunday?
Well, obviously, one of the highlights of the weekend is when the players, and that was Friday afternoon, get to practice in Gillette Stadium for an hour, and that's always one of the highlights of the weekend to go out there and do that. Really nice banquet on Friday night of all the Division II and III teams right in the stadium, and we were overlooking the Division I girls games, so that was kind of a neat experience for the kids. And then, did the opportunity to play for the national championship on Sunday. Our kids were very, very focused. I felt like, it was to play that well and maybe the best game you played all year in that stage is very difficult to do. To only have 10 turnovers in that kind of game, gives you a chance to be a champion, and that's one of the main reasons that we were victorious on Sunday.
I think just a little thing unique about this situation, because I guess the way the school year lays out is that you're not coming back as a team, maybe with a lot of fanfare. Everyone sort of scatters after the game. So before you left, what was your parting words to the team?
Well, it is an unfortunate thing the way that kind of whole thing ends because school's out. You're playing lacrosse for a few days. You're almost like a pro lacrosse player for a few days because that's all you're doing. But the players are released to their mom and dads who usually stay there an extra day, and but we'll gather all back in the fall. We'll be touching base with them this week when we do our evaluations for the kids returning to what needs to be worked on and improved. And then everybody will be back together for a very neat ring ceremony. The end of October.
I guess as a team, with the seniors, this is the last time you're there together as a group in that atmosphere. Was there any words expressed either by them?
Well, every day, every time we've ever played a championship game, we have a big kind of a ceremony the day of the game where we have a lunch and every player gets up and kind of spills his guts for a few minutes, and it takes a couple hours, and it was very, very emotional. A lot of seniors saying some really neat things about their experience and being very thankful that they were in this position, over the course of their career, and how thankful they were for their teammates and everything. And that's always a very, very special time. And you kind of got to be there at one of those to realize some of the neat things that happen here through their 4 years.
You mentioned just before we got set up here that really it doesn't end for you. You're getting a late start, and I guess you're on the recruiting and all that. Does it make it easier a little bit to recruit?
Well, obviously, we can get into some doors that maybe other people can't, regardless of a player. I don't matter how good a player is, he's willing to talk to Salisbury, even though he's probably thinking Division I. He's most of the kids that we are recruiting. But we definitely are a little bit behind the 8 ball. You know, most teams have been out watching high schools for 4 weeks, so you know we've been trying to win a championship for the last 4 weeks. But you know we're on the road. The summer circuit's all going, starting, you know, tomorrow night.
I feel like Bill Belichick made that same comment after he won the Super Bowl, so he was behind with draft and player evaluation. So
Yeah, because you're 4 weeks of doing other stuff where other teams are out there, but you know that's just the kind of the nature of the beast. But you know we're fortunate to be champions, and players do want to go where teams win.